Good morning to you all. This is the last time I will make this introduction within the framework of our closing in this doctoral seminar called Peace and European Values as a Potential Model for Integration and Progress in a Global World within the framework of the Research and Mobility Scholarship, within also the framework of the Charles V Award awarded to Professor Sofia Corradi. Last, we'll hear the intervention of Juan Carlos Moreno, Director of the European Academy of Yuste, co-director of the doctoral seminar, and also jury of these scholarships. Juan Carlos, the floor is yours. What can I say after the words of Sofia Corradi? I have the feeling that anything I say will be simple, but I would like to leave with you some final reflections to end this doctoral seminar. Dearest Sofia, distinguished colleagues, members of the jury of the Sofia Corradi scholarships, researchers, colleagues that have spent these 3 days with us. We've held this doctoral seminar at a unique place, the last abode of Charles V, the Emperor, the first king, who put the interest of Europe before those of national interest, who defended politics without borders and fought in order to reconcile rivalry. The time that Charles V spent among the walls that you visited yesterday, 19 months and 18 days, was also for him a time for reflection. Not surprisingly, Charles V chose this secluded place surrounded by nature that invites to create peace in order to reflect, to think about the death he felt near, and to think about the instruction that as a political testament he wanted to leave his son, who would soon be called Philip II. To think about the best government of his vast territories spread on the two sides of the ocean. The outcome of this reflection were 3 recommendations, royal and fatherly recommendations. The first one, urge his son to preserve the integrity of faith in the whole of his domains. Second recommendation dealt with the peace in Europe with other kingdoms. In the third, the emperor advised his son to find a truce with the Turk to ascertain peace in the Mediterranean Sea. These 3 recommendations did not lose their validity 500 years later, when the emperor talked about preserving the integrity of the faith in the religious and almighty conception of the past. We can now understand the ethical integrity of principles and values of the humanistic and democratic conscience against the oblivion and the castling of the old nationalisms and the new populisms, especially the preservation of our traditional and undying values: democracy, freedom, equality, and solidarity. When he recommended a staunch defense of peace, we can understand nowadays his eagerness to guarantee domestic unity and cohesion, to promote a better Europe as the only alternative before the involutionist and fragmenting risks. Last, when he wanted to preserve the peace with the Turk, it can be easily understood in the international current context of permanent and multifaceted danger. When he said Turk, we might now understand all violent, exclusive, annihilating threats that want to encircle us. What is Europe? Europe is first and foremost a solution, an antidote against barbarism that always, with adamant, deadly cadence, ruthlessly plagues all generations. Europe is a project for the future and is a reality at present. And it will need to be built day after day to make it a safer place, more prosperous, more social, cognizant that this is a tree that we now plant, but under which shadow will most likely never sit. But our children and the children of our children will sit at that shadow with the hope of never reliving the tragic experience of their ancestors. The Europe of our children, for which we work, is a Europe that relentlessly fights terrorism, in a coordinated and solidarity way that fills London, Manchester, Nice, Paris, Madrid, Brussels, Stockholm and Berlin as twinned cities, because when one is under attack, we are all under attack. We want to have a Europe that protects its outside borders, the only borders that Europe knows, because the national borders have been deleted. A Europe that is not insensitive before those who are crowded at its doors and ask for food and shelter. We want Europe that wants to be built facing Mare Nostrum, a sea in which waters the philosopher, politicians, artists, and noble warriors looked themselves. A space that is a corridor in a house with many rooms, with different voices but with a common language. A Mediterranean Sea that we do not want to become a second Dead Sea, nor a sea of the dead. In a world that at times it seems to be crumbling down, where 1% of its population amasses 95% of wealth, we wonder who can raise its voice and stop this barbarism. Will it be the United States of Donald Trump? Will it be the Russia of Putin? Maybe the Chinese Communist Party? Could it be the emerging India? United States tolerates the most unfair distribution of wealth that we can imagine. And with this new administration, the hopeful social reforms of Obama are fading into oblivion. Without a public protection service, millions of Americans are doomed to suffer and to die. Many others will be terribly forsaken when they lose their job or when they grow older. But what can we expect of an administration that rejects Mother Earth by withdrawing the country from the Paris Agreement against climate change? Russia and in China, who would have said? New wealthy people live. They amass unimaginable fortune, even obscene wealth. The word Russian is quickly becoming a synonym for wealthy without limits, and many times wealthy and unscrupulous. India is growing at a pace, an annual rate of 7.6%, but it has 400 million inhabitants in dire poverty and 13 million children are beggars. Europe must be the stronghold that curbs all this absurdity. It cannot just be an ATM. Our social model is the best, and even though it can be improved, and not every time it can be exported, it must be a benchmark for the rest of the world. The Europe that we want to build is a Europe where health and education are real social rights, and not just mere service provision. We want a Europe that strives for full employment and growth, not at all cost and even less at people's cost. A Europe that will allow young people to have a proper training, and to imagine a world trusting that when they finish their studies they will find a job that is according to their skills, and for it they will receive a sufficient and adequate remuneration, a work that will allow them to live decently rather than to make them wealthy. A job that, instead of making them wealthy, will allow others to be wealthy for them. We want a life for these students where they succeed and they learn but never fail. We want a Europe where environmental protection will be a sign of identity and who will fight for achieving and preserving welfare state. We want a Europe that will be aware of its role in the international understanding and balance, cohesion in diversity, respectful of discrepancy, integrative with disability, and firm in the preservation of its traditional values. I am aware that there are some events that have recently happened in Europe and that you have all in mind. Far from making us skeptical, must be a boost to launch once again more of Europe. And in this new momentum, you, young people, you must have a fundamental role to play. I remember now the wise words that Cervantes put in the mouth of Don Quixote. He said, all these squalls that are happening now are signs that very soon the weather will calm and good things will happen to us. End of quote. Yuste is supposed to be in the future a place to meet two different worlds, but two complementary worlds. Europe and Ibero-America. The Royal Monastery of Yuste must become tomorrow in a parental house, in the parents' house, where us, the children, we go to find each other, give each other a hug, go deepen on our roots, and at times smooth things over. Let's trust that very soon this will be a place for encounters. It is now, but we want it to be even more, to become a reference. There is no doubt that these days, thanks to your contributions, we have already taken the first step. Thank you.
Gracias. Hay que comer. Sí, ya para acabar, 3 palabras ya fuera de